What happens if you suddenly quit sugar, salt, or caffeine? Hey everyone. Today we're covering something almost everyone has experienced. What happens to your body if you quit sugar, salt, or caffeine abruptly with no gradual tapering? All three have a different nature, but each has its own withdrawal phase. Let's go through them one by one. Sugar. Not a physical addiction, but a similar mechanism. Sugar doesn't cause classic physical dependence the way nicotine or alcohol does, but regular consumption trains the brain to expect frequent dopamine hits. Quitting abruptly often brings headaches, fatigue, irritability, and intense cravings for sweets in the first 1 to 3 days. This isn't withdrawal in the strict medical sense, but a readjustment of eating behavior, along with fluctuations in blood glucose. After 3 to 7 days, taste receptors start recalibrating. Foods that once seemed moderately sweet start tasting cloying. After 1 to 2 weeks, most people notice more stable energy throughout the day, with fewer sharp swings of hunger and post-meal sleepiness. Salt. The body fights to rebalance sodium. Salt mainly comes down to fluid and electrolyte balance. Cutting salt intake sharply can cause weakness, dizziness, and a mild drop in blood pressure in the first few days, especially for people used to a high sodium diet. The kidneys and the hormonal system that regulates blood pressure recalibrate over roughly 1 to 2 weeks. An interesting side effect: the taste receptors for saltiness adapt too. Within 2 to 3 weeks, food that used to taste normal can start tasting too salty. Long term, cutting sodium benefits blood pressure and cardiovascular health. But sharp, severe restriction should be discussed with a doctor for people with certain kidney or adrenal conditions, since sodium is vital for nervous system function. Caffeine. Genuine withdrawal. Of the three, caffeine causes the most clearly defined physiological withdrawal syndrome. It's officially recognized in medical classifications. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors. Adenosine is a compound that builds up in the brain and causes sleepiness. With regular use, the brain compensates by increasing the number of these receptors. When caffeine is suddenly removed, adenosine acts at full strength on that now larger receptor population, triggering withdrawal. Symptoms typically start 12 to 24 hours after the last dose. A severe headache is one of the most characteristic signs, caused by dilation of blood vessels in the brain that caffeine normally constricts. On top of that come fatigue, drowsiness, reduced concentration, irritability, sometimes mild nausea and muscle aches, and for some, a low mood. Symptoms peak at 24 to 48 hours and typically resolve fully within 2 to 9 days, depending on how much caffeine the person was consuming before. Why quitting abruptly feels worse than tapering? In all three cases, abruptness is the key driver of discomfort. The body adapts to a certain level of stimulus and calibrates its receptors, hormone levels, and eating habits around it. Sudden withdrawal forces all these systems to readjust at once, which is where the headaches, fatigue, and irritability come from. Gradual reduction, say cutting caffeine by a quarter cup over several days, gives the body time to adapt and nearly eliminates withdrawal symptoms. What happens if you push through? The good news is that in all three cases, adaptation genuinely happens, and fairly quickly. After 2 to 4 weeks without added sugar, excess salt, and caffeine, most people notice more stable energy, better sleep quality, taste receptors more sensitive to the natural flavors of food, and less reliance on quick mood stimulants. Unlike sugar and salt, quitting caffeine also removes tolerance, meaning if the person starts drinking coffee again, the same dose will hit noticeably harder than it did before quitting. The takeaway: sugar, salt, and caffeine affect the body in different ways. Sugar through the dopamine system and habit, salt through fluid balance and taste receptors, caffeine through a genuine physiological withdrawal mechanism involving adenosine receptors. But they share one thing in common: the body can readjust within 1 to 2 weeks, at the cost of a few uncomfortable days. Discomfort that can be significantly softened by cutting back gradually instead of all at once. That's all for today. Listen to your body. Take care of yourselves.